Ozark is one of Netflix's most popular shows. Its third season has catapulted it to one of the best shows on the site. But why is it so good? In order to understand why, we must look at what stakes are in relation to a character's goal or goals. Your protagonist needs to have something to strive for. They need to have an aim or they'll be boring. The hero wants to beat the bad guy. Okay, we have an aim. There also needs to be a why. Why are they wanting to do this? And it can't just be because good doesn't like bad. The hero wants to do this or the world will be blown up. Now we have a why. Okay, so the goal is beating the bad guy and the stakes of the world being blown up. This is a decent example of how a lot of superhero movies are set up in a very simplified way. The goal is the easy bit, in my opinion. The stakes, or what will be lost, is the hard bit. It isn't as simple as to have a want and any reason why. In my opinion, to have good stakes attached to your goal, you require 3 things. Number 1, the protagonist needs to care. Succeeding in their goal needs to be the most important thing in their life at that moment. If a protagonist doesn't care about their goal, how will the viewer? They will do anything to avoid failing, and this makes for an engaging narrative told through character. Marty and Wendy may not care what happens to themselves. They made the decision to work for the cartel. They were not forced, and chose to do so, knowing what would happen if they failed.
I spent a decade afraid of something, and when it finally arrived, it wasn't at all what I thought it would be.
If they were only bothered about saving themselves, they wouldn't be as likeable, as their actions are motivated by self-preservation. The children didn't choose this life, however, and are victims of circumstance.
No fucking way am I going.
Charlotte, you're going. We're all going.
Not me, I'm gonna live with Caitlin.
In the Ozarks. There's like woods and stuff.
Yeah, Mom, what the fuck?
Their goal is to save their children's lives, and they'll do anything to achieve this. Number 2, is it believable? If someone's goal is to save the world, it's not usually something that people can relate to, if not done right. There has never been a time that the world would be destroyed by aliens, or at least not that we know of, which is why I tend to find less engagement with characters in superhero movies, but would enjoy them for the spectacle. In the first episode of Ozark, we see all of Marty's business partners executed and then put into a vat of acid. This is something that's believable, and it could happen. We hear about these types of stories all the time in the news. They give the audience a visual example of what will happen to the Bird family if they fail in completing their goal. This aligns the audience with them more. You want to see them succeed and avoid this fate. This gives the character a purpose, and this purpose affects every little decision they make. As the pressure mounts and the stakes look like they're about to come crashing down on their heads, they make more extreme choices for survival. Each time your protagonist is presented with a newly conflicting situation, they must, number 3, change. In the pursuit of their goal, they need to sacrifice something and change to avoid bad things from happening. Marty needs to find ways to launder money. Soon after they arrive in the Ozarks, it becomes Wendy's goal too. If a protagonist stays the same throughout, they will become boring. Imagine Marty keeps trying the same methods and keeps getting rejected in season 1. Marty is doing bad things and changing as a person. He gets beaten up in order to gain control of the Blue Cat, and even lies to a priest. His decisions get progressively worse as the season goes on, but for a good reason, to save his family. It is important to note that gradual change is required, if the change is to be believable. If you were to have Marty kill a priest in the 3rd episode of the show, it would be very much out of character for him, and the viewer would become disengaged. For him to get to this point, he needs to be put under immense pressure by the prior decisions he has made to ultimately save his family. I mentioned conflict previously, and how it forces character out of their comfort zone, making them change. Ozark stands out from other shows, as it has a uniqueness to its conflict. In my opinion, Ozark has 2 equal protagonists in season 3, Wendy and Marty. Wendy and Marty have a miserable marriage. Wendy cheated, and as a result, Marty can't trust her, and doesn't want to. And because of this, Wendy can't trust Marty either. The unfortunate thing for both parties is that they share a goal, which causes conflict. All of this conflict seems to stem from the broken marriage and lack of trust. Without discussion, Marty decides he is best informed to make the decisions. He decides that they need not go on the run, and work hard to get out from under this. In episode 1, he saves the life of his family, only temporarily, by offering a seemingly impossible task to his boss turned captor. Wendy has a choice when they move to the Ozarks. Does she become a dormant or an active protagonist? To be a dormant protagonist, Wendy, when faced with the dismissal from Marty, would simply accept her fate, staying the same as she began and just hoping for the best. Dormant characters are boring. We want to avoid this. So what does Wendy do when she is dismissed? She finds her own way of saving the children, without needing Marty. People in general have a tendency to think that they're right all the time, and this is powered by confirmation bias. If somebody dies whilst Marty is making a decision, then Wendy will think that if she were making the decisions, or at least involved, that the death and unwanted attention would have been avoided. Wendy would believe Marty's been selfish and putting them more at risk. She would then make the decision, when faced with this conflict, to go behind Marty's back to try and save the family, which eventually almost gets him killed. Again, solving a problem causes a bigger problem, which is good storytelling through character. One of my favourite examples is with Ben. Marty wants him gone. He's too unstable, dangerous, and will blow their cover. Wendy wants him to stay. It's a brother, and he needs her help. This is good conflict. Both characters feel that they're right. Marty has his reasons. Wendy has her reasons. It is only when Ben gets in the way of their ultimate goal that action must be taken. Ben exposes Helen's occupation to her daughter.
You wanna know what a piece of shit your mother is, Aaron? She's a fucking lawyer! Well, she ain't! She's a fucking monster!
Ben now must be removed to prove that Wendy is loyal to the cartel, or she will fail in her ultimate goal, which is to save her children. In my opinion, this makes Wendy a bigger protagonist than Marty, as she has made the biggest decision of the show so far. Ozark is a great example of character development done right. And this is why, in my opinion, it is the best show on Netflix. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of Ozark in the comment section. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed watching.